good news story. And when we want to congratulate national policy, we will. A huge breakthrough in organised crime today, a huge hit put into the methamphetamine trade in the South Island. Kudos to the police for that. And I'm not doing a yeah, but I'm going to say yeah, but there's another thing that came out today about these gang legislation laws that's got the New Zealand Law Council quite concerned. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have a look at the story from One News tonight about the massive bust, and then we'll come back and have a chat. Oh, there's my music still playing. Then we'll have a chat about what the Law Society is saying as well. So here is the story from One News about this massive bust in Christchurch.
The spoils of an alleged drugs ring. Among the items seized by police, 5 kilograms of Class A drugs, 11 firearms, motorcycles, ammunition, and around $250,000 in cash.
Our intelligence said that this group was responsible for the majority of Class A drugs coming into the area.
Police say they've arrested...
See, that's pretty massive. The majority of Class A drugs into Christchurch and beyond the South Island. It's a massive bust.
Arrested every patched member of the Christchurch Comancheros.
To bust an entire chapter is a big deal. I can't recall a time that's ever happened. So yeah, this is really significant.
Investigations into the gang spanning 8 months. Police claiming cash and drug runs between Auckland and Canterbury were being made every fortnight.
In that 2-week period, we've identified that there were 4 kilo amounts coming into Canterbury. To give you some context, that's about a 1.4 million street value for every 4 kilos.
The Christchurch chapter of the gang.
So $1.4 million every 2 weeks worth of drugs coming into Christchurch, South Island.
Were previously part of the rebels, claimed to have been started here by 501 deportees from Australia.
They were patched over from another gang in July of last year and came under the Comanchero umbrella. And they certainly came to our attention very quickly.
In total, 21 men have been arrested, ranging in age from 18 to 55, 15 in Christchurch and 6 in Auckland. Charges include participating in an organised criminal group and conspiracy to supply methamphetamine and cocaine. Police say further charges are being considered.
Certainly disrupted this supply chain, and the amounts that we're talking about is over $50 million in terms of harm.
The bust believed to have also made an impact on senior gang leadership in Auckland.
We've been very clear as an incoming government that we're not tolerating that anymore and that we're clamping down hard on the gangs, and you're watching that happen.
But this expert says it may not have a big impact on the drug trade around the country.
Unless you're going to dampen demand, supply will always meet it. So you can knock out suppliers as much as you like. That void will be filled very, very quickly, unfortunately.
Nonetheless, police celebrating a blow to the Comancheros in the Garden City.
There you go. So there's the first part of the story, Chewy. You want to comment on that? You're sort of, not that you've lived in that world, but you've been alongside that world in parts of your life when you lived in Timaru and stuff. Any thoughts?
This is a huge hit. This is the payoff for what would be years and years of tedious police work, of building the links between gang members, their activities, who's responsible for what, and absolutely my hope that they have tied a big fucking ribbon on top of it, and it's a completely sealed shut case that they've got them all. It is incredibly unusual, even internationally, to be able to scoop up the whole organization in one hit. This is. And look, this is going to be a case of Mark Mitchell will be crowing about this because he's the police minister and National's tough on gangs. The police did not do this in 8 months. This is multiple years worth of work.
Yeah, but that's like, Obama got to give credit for getting Osama because he was the president, and Trump got credit for getting whoever the one I see of one of the jihadists was in, because, and that would have been so. I agree with you, but we can't sit here and go, well, you guys didn't really do anything. It's like the government of the day gets the credit for something that their department has done, even if it's been a longer time frame than that, and they get to crow about it, whether it was Labour leading it or National.
Let's just clarify my point a little bit here. The government has been saying that we need tougher laws to crack down on gangs.
Yep.
They didn't need tougher laws to crack down on this gang.
Yeah, right.
They needed time, they needed planning, they needed resources to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the argument of Labour soft on crime, we need tougher gang laws, it doesn't ring true. Police can do this work with what they have on the table right now.
Yeah. All right. And that probably leads us quite good into the second part of the conversation. And this is from Newsroom. Last minute gang law changes ban insignia in homes and widen police search powers.
What the fuck?
A late addition to proposed gang laws will give police broad powers to search people's homes in the name of stopping repeat offenders living under the same roof as gang patches or gang insignia. The amendment, which technically regulates speech or expression in a person's private residence, was added to the bill after the select committee process, meaning there hasn't been the opportunity for experts, interested parties, and the public to scrutinize the changes.
Wow.
But government ministers responsible for the new gang legislation say they are confident they've struck the right balance, with the new clause acting as harsher punishments and a deterrent for a small number of repeat offenders. Now, I've got two other parts of this article I'm going to read you, but let me just say this one thing very, very clearly. The reason we have protections like free speech protections, it's not for good speech, it's for offensive and bad speech, right? More often than not, the reason you have protections and human rights is not because all the nice, good, well-behaved people need them. It's for actually the opposite of that. So you can't sit here and go, well, it's only the gang members. If this government is able to reach into someone's house and say, if you own X in your house, behind your bedroom door, and may never leave your bedroom, then we're possibly going to criminalize you for that. That is an authoritarian government and a huge concern to just the laws within New Zealand. And remember, this government, this part of politics going on and on and on and on and on about things like control, mandate, nanny state. This is Orwellian, Chewy.
So you open up your garage, pull the car out, take the kids out, go and get some groceries or something like that. You've got a mongrel mob mural painted on a wall in your garage. Local policeman sees it, uses it as an opportunity to raid your entire house.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Well, let's rather than even me and you talking about it, let's just keep going in the article because the New Zealand Law Society speaks to it. But the New Zealand Law Society has laid out a raft of concerns with the 11th hour amendment in an open letter to Goldsmith. The open letter, sent by Society's Vice President David Campbell, said the proposed law essentially set a new precedent for giving police regular access to people's homes, distorted the reason for police to search people's homes, and wasn't relevant to the primary purpose of the government's public gang patch ban. Remember, the whole time it's been about, we don't want to see this in public. We don't want to see this in public. We're not going to allow these guys to get together in public. This has got nothing to do with those laws. The Society sent the letter to Goldsmith almost 3 weeks ago, but is yet to receive a response. In the meantime, the clock is ticking as the government moves forward with passing the 2 bills into law. The gang bills, which would make a series of changes to police powers, have been controversial. They include banning gang insignia in public and now in the home, allowing police to issue dispersal notices, creating laws to stop gang associates from gathering, and making gang membership an aggravating factor at sentencing. Critics, including lawyers and community organizations, as well as official advice, that line again, have argued there is no evidence this will deter people from joining gangs or committing offences, and others are critical of the likely breaches of human rights. However, the Law Society's letter hinges on this specific amendment, which make it illegal for repeat offenders to live in the same place as gang insignia. So we've got to be careful, Chewy, when you say someone has a mongrel mob, mural on in their thing. It is about repeat offenders. Not saying that makes it okay, but it's not going to be everybody. And seeing we're here, we'll just get the last part of this. Gosh, I highlighted a lot, didn't I? Under section 8.2c, anyone who has been convicted of displaying gang insignia in public 2 or more times in the last 5 years would be subject to what the government calls mandatory gang insignia prohibition order for repeat offenders. The order includes a condition that there could not be insignia present at the person's usual place of residence. It will be up to the police as to how they interpret and operationalize the new clause and whether it could potentially extend to insignia owned by someone else living at the same private residence, such as a flat or transitional housing. On August 8th, Campbell wrote to Goldsmith to raise concerns about the significant extension of police powers into people's homes, stating that this went beyond the intention of the public patch ban. He said the amendment was inconsistent with the Bill of Rights and was introduced through an improper process. He urged Goldsmith and Police Minister Mark Mitchell to halt the passing of the bill so Crown Law could conduct a proper human rights vet of the proposed legislation. The amendment unjustifiably infringes rights protected by the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, Bill of Rights, has no rational connection to the proposal of the bill and its proposed gang insignia ban, and will likely cause harm to the families and whānau, including children, of those subject to a gang insignia prohibition order, the letter said. Campbell acknowledged there may be a public policy consideration for regulating speech or expressions such as gang insignia in public spaces, but the regulation in a private residence was significant, and in this case, not rationally connected to the stated purpose of the gang insignia ban. The explanatory note to the bill said gang insignia displayed in public may cause some people to feel fearful or intimidated. The display of gang insignia as a status symbol may also assist gangs in marketing themselves to potential prospects and future recruits. Gang members are readily identifiable by their insignia, the display of insignia may exacerbate. Dyslexia kicking in there. It may exacerbate inter-gang rivalries that led to gang violence in public spaces. Campbell said this was unrelated to the existence of gang insignia within a residential home. The residential ban could extend to insignia never intended to be displayed in public, he said, such as a gang member having their father or grandfather's patch as a memento. Taken literally, the new clause could be taken to include printed reproductions of gang insignia, making it a criminal offence to possess a newspaper with a gang symbol in it, or certain books. Up to you, Joey. Ball is yours.
So whenever laws are written, one of the things that my understanding is that they try to do is really lock it down on what it means. Yeah. Now, already in that, we see so much left up to police discretion, so much left wide open as far as a repeat offender of what an insignia is. There's so much that can be challenged here. Yeah, if they try it, it's going to just end up in court for years. I think this is a massive overstep. And I come back to one of the first things that I said when they started talking about this. The government have not, at any stage that I have seen, defined what a gang insignia is.
Yeah.
They kind of just go, we know it when we see it. Now, we've talked about it lots. You know, what makes a gang insignia? They've never described the elements of it. They haven't named any organizations that have insignia or paraphernalia. And we've talked about if you remove it, then there are still ways that the gangs will identify themselves. I think this, you know, is there something? Oh, we saw a flag up as we walked the beat conveniently outside of your home through the cracks in your curtains. So we're coming in and seeing what we can find, and we're just going to toss your house. It becomes police harassment. I assume at some point the Free Speech Union is going to swing in on its Tarzan rope and kick this all to hell. It should happen any minute now, I assume. It sounds like sloppy lawmaking. It sounds like something that can be weaponized against all manner of people. And the very fact that it came in literally at the last minute, after all public submissions, after all the select committee stuff, it was just like, we're going to roll it out to anything inside people's homes. Lock it in.
Yeah.
It sounds like the biggest load of bullshit.
And ramming it through and not giving any chance for public or experts to speak to it or submit to it, just making it law. Honestly, I don't want to seem like I'm being OTT, but it is Orwellian. It is the definition of Big Brother. For all you conservatives out there who think that these lefto, pinko liberals want to control and shit everything, mate, pot kettle black. You know, look at your own shit. I've never seen anything like this from a New Zealand left-wing government of recent times. We're going to come into your house and decide whether you're a criminal or not based on what granddad's poster on the wall is. You know, come on. This is what these freedom-loving conservatives are always about. You know, privacy of your own home. I support anything you want to do. You know, your right to say it. I might not like what you say, but I support the right to say it. And, you know, the privacy of your own home. Your home is your castle. It's like all of that out the window. Just like all of this pretense of decades of talk about freedoms and liberties and, you know, and freedom of expression, and we protect your right to do it, all just out the window. And out the window with no conversation. Out the window because they decide. And that's it. Because they want to be tough on crime and policies that aren't going to work. You know what? If I had a troublemaking gang member who was in my neighborhood whose house got raided for that reason, I would be supporting him or her. I'd be like, you can't just get into... We have rights and privileges, mostly for the things that go wrong. We don't need a speed limit for people who drive 100, you know, on the open road. We need a speed limit for the people who do 140, so there is some way to pull them back. We don't need free speech for people who say lovely things that everyone agrees with. We need free speech for the people who say obscene things with the freedom to say it. We don't have these human rights for the people who get along well and they're all good. We have human rights to protect almost the worst in society, because if they're going to come after the worst in society, then they'll come after the second worst, then they'll come after the third worst, and eventually they'll get to you. That's why we need these things. So if it happens to them, just don't be naive to think it can't happen to you or me or your mother or your neighbor. It's and I don't like the slippery slope argument that people use for lots of things, but it's a pretty heinous first step. It's like, if the staircase is 100, this is not step 1. This is like step 78 immediately. Yeah. You know, it's just such a big swing.
This reminds me of the law that they rolled out over in the UK that was specifically targeted at the Stop Oil protesters. And it was interpreted to the point of view that when a group of these people that were involved in that organization all happened to be at the same, I think it was a soup kitchen or a restaurant or some sort of point, the police swooped in and arrested them all for conspiracy. They hadn't done anything. They hadn't done a crime yet, and they got arrested. See, this is what happens when we have laws that aren't up to the challenge. And I'm glad that the Law Society's onto it, because, you know, Free Speech Union, they have their own drum to bang, and it's not going to be looking after these people.